Cat Podcast. Why do humans sleep inside the bed instead of on top of it? Now I know what you're thinking. That sounds ridiculous. But stick with me, because by the end of this episode, you're going to understand something about human vulnerability that will completely reframe how you see them every single night. I'm serious, stay with me, because there is a revelation at the end that explains why humans have built this entire psychological dependency on being buried under fabric, and once you know it, you'll never look at bedtime the same way again. Before we go any deeper into this, I want to hear from you. Do you live with a human who sleeps buried under 17 layers of fabric, like they're preparing for hibernation? Comment below and tell me what's the weirdest sleeping position you've ever caught your human in. And please, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because tomorrow we're breaking down why humans refuse to use the perfectly good napping surfaces that are literally everywhere in your house. Now, here's where this gets strange. We need to talk about the layers. Oh, not just any layers. We're talking about the architectural nightmare that is the human bedding system. Think about it. You have the sheet on the bottom. Fine, I understand. That's a contact layer. But then there's a fitted sheet, which by the way is a human invention I still don't fully comprehend. Why fight with fabric that fights back? Seems inefficient. Then you add a blanket. One blanket would seem sufficient for any mammal with functional body temperature regulation. But no, most humans add a comforter on top of that. And not just any comforter. A puffy, weighted one that costs approximately $1 million and is filled with what I can only assume is the clouds themselves, stolen directly from the sky. And here is where I need you to focus for a second, because this detail matters more than you think. After the comforter, some humans, and I mean this with no exaggeration, add a throw blanket, a blanket just for decoration, a blanket that serves no purpose except to be folded at the foot of the bed during the day and then, inexplicably, dragged into the sleeping nest at night. Why would you willingly add more fabric to your nighttime cocoon? This is where the human logic becomes genuinely mysterious. Wait, hold on. I need your full attention for a moment here, because this is the part where everything connects. You need to understand that our complete guide to decoding human sleep behavior and the psychological triggers behind their nesting obsession is available right now in the description and pinned in the comments section. It breaks down the neurological patterns, the comfort signals, and the security mechanisms that drive this seemingly irrational behavior. That's where the real depth is. And I absolutely recommend grabbing it if you want to understand not just the what, but the why behind everything we're about to discuss. Now let's talk about the positioning, because here's what's genuinely baffling. Humans do not lie on top of the bed like a normal resting mammal. They do not recline on the surface the way you might rest on a windowsill or a sunny spot on the kitchen counter, which by the way is the correct way to rest. Maximum visibility, easy exit, ability to monitor your territory. Smart. No, humans burrow. They literally crawl into their bedding like they're trying to disappear from existence. They nest themselves under blankets, under pillows, sometimes under additional pillows they've stolen from other parts of the house. Yes, I've seen this, a human with 6 pillows arranged in ways that seem to serve no structural purpose. The head goes here, another pillow goes there, sometimes there's one for the knees, which, again, I do not understand. Your knees are already connected to your body. They do not need separate furniture. But here is what I cannot stop thinking about: the vulnerability factor. When you sleep on top of the bed, you maintain awareness. You see the window. You hear the hallway. You have immediate response capacity. When you sleep inside the bed, buried under blankets and pillows, you are essentially defenseless. You cannot see. Your hearing is muffled by fabric. If a threat approached, you would need approximately 4 seconds just to extract yourself from your textile prison. Some humans even add blackout curtains to their sleeping situation. They're literally blinding themselves, on purpose. Combined with the blanket burial system, this means a human in full sleep mode is essentially a sensory-deprived organism trusting that nothing terrible will happen while they're completely defenseless. It's almost adorable in its naivety. Almost. This brings us to the real question that nobody is asking. Why would any creature willingly put itself into a state of maximum vulnerability every single night? And that is when everything starts to make sense, but I am going to get to it in just a moment, because there's a pattern here that will blow your mind once you see it. The reason humans sleep inside the bed instead of on top of it has nothing to do with temperature regulation, despite what they will tell you. Temperature is their excuse, not their reason. The real answer is something far more primal, far more revealing about the human condition, and it involves understanding what happens to human psychology the moment darkness falls. Let me explain where this obsession actually begins. You see, humans accumulate something during the day. It's not just physical tiredness, though that's part of it. It's psychological residue. They call it stress, anxiety, the weight of existing in their complicated human society. By evening, they're not just tired, they're fragmented. They're overwhelmed. They've been pretending to understand things they don't understand, navigating social situations that feel dangerous, making decisions that keep them up at night, and by the time actual nighttime arrives, their nervous system is essentially screaming for a break. The bed, the inside of the bed specifically, under the blankets, becomes what therapists would call a safe container, but we cats know it differently. It's a regression space, a place where the human can temporarily stop pretending that they have everything under control. Because the moment they disappear under those blankets, the world disappears, responsibility disappears, judgment disappears. They are no longer a human operating according to human rules. They are simply an organism in a nest, and nests are safe. This is why they won't sleep on top of the bed. On top of the bed, they are still visible. They are still exposed. They are still part of the world that hurt them during the day. Inside the bed, they are hidden. They are protected. They are, for the first time in their waking existence, not responsible for anything. We cats, of course, understand responsibility differently. We nap on top of the couch because we are confident. We are aware. We are never fully defenseless because we never fully relax our guard. But humans need to disappear to feel safe. Humans need to be enclosed to feel held. And honestly, from a clinical standpoint, this tells you everything you need to know about human psychology. Think about all the implications. Every night, your human crawls into this fabric fortress and essentially hits a reset button. Their vulnerability is not a flaw in their design, it's a feature. They need that moment of complete abandonment to process the day. They need that sensory deprivation to quiet their overactive minds. They need that enclosure to feel for maybe the first time all day that they are not being observed, not being judged, not being measured against impossible standards. They are simply existing. And you know what the most revealing part is? Most humans spend more time inside their blankets than outside them. We are talking 8, 9, sometimes 10 hours per day living in that fabric nest. That is 1/3 to 1/2 of their entire existence, surrendered to a state of complete vulnerability and unconsciousness. If you think about it logically, it is an enormous gamble. But psychologically, it is the most rational decision they make all day. Because the alternative, staying on the surface, staying visible, staying aware, is exhausting. It is unsustainable. The human body and mind were not designed to operate at peak consciousness for 16 waking hours every single day. We understand this as cats. We sleep 15 hours a day without guilt, without apology, without any sense that we are wasting time. We sleep on top of everything, sure, but we sleep fully and frequently. We do not carry the day's residue into our rest. We process and release instantly. Humans, by contrast, have built an entire culture around postponing rest until nighttime and then expecting that rest to somehow erase the damage of the day. They work themselves into exhaustion and then expect 8 hours of unconscious time to fix it. It is why so many humans wake up still tired, still anxious, still not recovered. You cannot actually reset a system that is fundamentally broken by the way you use it during waking hours. You cannot bury yourself under blankets and expect the blankets to heal the way you live. This is the paradox that humans have created for themselves. They burrow inside their blankets because they need safety, but the safety they are seeking cannot actually be found inside blankets. It can only be found in how they live their waking life, in boundaries they set, in stress they eliminate, in their refusal to carry the day's toxicity into their rest. But most humans do not understand this, so they keep burrowing deeper, adding more blankets, creating bigger nests, hoping that one day, one additional layer of fabric will finally be enough to make them feel protected. It never is. This is where it gets difficult to watch, honestly. Because right now, at this exact moment, The human has finally achieved what they were so desperately seeking. They are asleep. Their nervous system has begun to repair itself. Their muscles have loosened. Their jaw has stopped clenching. For the first time in 16 hours, they are not thinking about work emails, about bills, about that one conversation they had 3 weeks ago that still makes them cringe at 2 in the morning. They are simply sleeping. And then 6 in the morning arrives. The human made a critical error when they chose to bring a cat into their home. They assumed that the cat would respect their sleep schedule. They assumed that the cat would understand the concept of rest and would honor it. They assumed, fundamentally, that the cat cares about their well-being. The cat does not. What the human does not realize is that this is not cruelty. This is not the cat being mean-spirited or petty or vindictive, although those are certainly accurate descriptions. This is the cat enforcing a boundary. The cat has decided that 6 in the morning is the time when humans should be awake, because that is the time when the cat requires food. The cat did not choose this time arbitrarily. The cat chose it because it is the time that works best for the cat's digestive system, the cat's sense of schedule, the cat's need to maintain control over the household's rhythm. The human's need to sleep is not the cat's responsibility. Before we continue, keep this in mind for a second. What I am about to describe is not unique to your cat. This is a universal feline protocol. Every cat in existence has mastered this technique, and every human in existence is subject to it. The full mechanics of this morning disruption cycle, the psychological tactics your cat is using, and the precise reasons why your cat has deemed this time appropriate, all of this is explained in exhaustive detail in the comprehensive guide available in the description below and pinned in the comments. This ebook breaks down the architecture of feline morning behavior, the neurological triggers that make your cat immune to your sleep needs, and the specific patterns that repeat across every household where a cat coexists with a human. It is the definitive resource on this exact topic, and it goes far deeper than we can explore here in this format. If you have ever wondered why your cat seems to have a personal vendetta against your sleep schedule, the guide will answer every question you have. The insights in that ebook are what separate casual cat observation from genuine feline literacy. Now, the cat has several options available at this moment. The cat could simply walk across the human's chest. This is effective but somewhat crude. The cat could knock something off the nightstand. Loud, dramatic, impossible to sleep through. But the cat knows the human better than the human knows itself. So the cat chooses the method that is most psychologically devastating. The cat sits directly on the human's face. This is the beautiful cruelty of it. The cat does not need to yell. The cat does not need to knock things. The cat simply makes the human's sleep physically impossible. The human's survival instinct overrides their desire for rest. They wake up. Immediate, permanent, effective. And here is what is truly genius about this approach. The human cannot even be angry about it, because from the human's perspective, they have just been woken up by a soft, warm creature that they love. They look at the cat's face. The cat looks back at them with those enormous eyes. The human's anger evaporates instantly. The human's brain releases oxytocin. The human feels connected to the cat. The human feels loved. The human has been completely manipulated, and they are not aware of it. What the human fails to recognize is that this entire sequence was planned. The cat woke up at 5:45, well before the human's alarm. The cat thought about the options. The cat rejected the noisy approaches because they would only result in the human hitting snooze and going back to sleep. The cat needed a method that would force the human's body to respond before their brain could process what was happening. The face sit is not accidental. It is tactical. And now the human makes their second critical error of the day. They go to the kitchen, they open the cabinet, they pull out the food. They pour it into the cat's bowl. The cat has just rewired the human's entire morning routine. The human was supposed to sleep until 7, the human was supposed to wake gradually, their cortisol levels rising naturally with the sunrise, their circadian rhythm respected and honored. But the cat has decided that the human's morning begins at 6, and this is now the human's reality. The cat eats. The human stands there watching the cat eat, still half asleep, still confused, but standing there nonetheless. This is not love. This is not companionship. This is the cat establishing dominance over the human's sleep schedule. This is the part that baffles me, honestly. The human knows what is going to happen. The human has experienced this exact sequence of events 500 times. The human could lock the cat out of the bedroom. The human could establish a boundary. The human could say, "I will feed you at 7 and not before." But the human does not do these things. Instead, the human accepts their new 6 o'clock wake-up time as inevitable. And this is the revelation I promised you at the beginning of this conversation. The reason humans sleep inside the bed instead of on top of it is not about comfort. It is not about temperature regulation or safety. It is about the human's desperate attempt to create a barrier between themselves and their responsibilities. But the barriers do not work. The blankets cannot protect the human from the cat. The nest cannot shield the human from their obligations. The depth of the bed cannot create enough distance between the human's rest and the cat's demands. The cat will always find a way in. This is not unique to sleep either. This same principle applies to every other aspect of the human's life. The cat disrupts the human's work schedule by demanding attention during video calls. The cat disrupts the human's meal times by refusing to eat unless the human is watching. The cat disrupts the human's relationships by refusing to acknowledge the presence of guests. The cat has systematized disruption into an art form. And the remarkable thing is that the human allows it. The human has built their entire life around the cat's needs, the cat's schedule, the cat's whims. This is the price of cohabitation with a cat. The human has surrendered their autonomy, the human has surrendered their schedule, the human has surrendered their right to rest. And somehow the human is grateful for it. So let's return to where this all started. Why do humans sleep inside the bed instead of on top of it? Why do they burrow under covers, nestle into pillows, create this entire elaborate cocoon when the solution is so much simpler? Because the human believes the bed is theirs. The human has constructed an entire narrative around ownership and comfort and personal space. The human thinks they chose to sleep inside the bed. The human thinks they chose to sleep under the covers. The human thinks they chose everything about how they rest. But here is the revelation I promised you at the beginning of this entire conversation. Here is the secret that changes everything about how you understand your relationship with your cat. The human does not sleep inside the bed. The human sleeps in the remaining space that the cat has deemed acceptable to leave behind. This is not the human choosing comfort. This is the human accepting whatever comfort the cat allows. The human has adapted their entire sleeping posture, their entire sleep cycle, their entire physical experience of rest around the cat's presence and preferences. The human has optimized their sleep around the cat, not because the cat asked them to, not because the cat communicated this preference through any normal method, but because the cat simply exists, and the human has learned that the path of least resistance is to accept whatever the cat decides. And the truly remarkable part, the human will wake up sore. The human will stretch out their back and wonder why they did not sleep well. The human might even complain to a friend that their bed is uncomfortable. The human might consider buying a new mattress, a better pillow, a different blanket. The human will never, not once, consider that the problem is not the bed. The problem is that the human has surrendered. The human has accepted that inside the bed means whatever small space remains after the cat has finished arranging itself. The human has rationalized this as normal. The human has integrated this into their identity, their routine, their understanding of home. But this is where you need to pay attention. This is where the entire system makes sense. The human sleeps inside the bed because the human wants to be near the cat. The human has chosen proximity over comfort. The human has decided that sleeping in a contorted position, barely clinging to consciousness because of discomfort, is worth it because it means sleeping in the same space as the cat. The human has made a choice. The human has chosen to sleep inside the bed because inside the bed is where the cat is, and the human would rather be uncomfortable and close to the cat than comfortable and alone. This is the real answer. This is what I promised you. The human does not sleep inside the bed for comfort. The human sleeps inside the bed because the cat is inside the bed. The human sleeps inside the bed because the cat is home, and home is worth every bit of physical discomfort. So here is your challenge for this week. Tonight, when you get into bed and your cat is already there, when your cat is occupying the space where you want to lie, when your cat has forced you into that corner or curled up in that awkward position, I want you to pause for just a moment. I want you to recognize what is really happening. You are not compromising your comfort for a pet. You are choosing to be close to someone you love. You are choosing home over comfort. You are choosing to sleep inside the bed because inside the bed is where belonging feels real. Thank you so much for watching this entire podcast with me. I hope this has helped you understand not just why your cat does what they do, but why you do what you do in response. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mysterious world of cat logic and human behavior, please subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new episode. Leave a comment down below and tell me, does your cat take up most of your bed? Or have you managed to maintain some kind of territorial balance? And please, activate that notification bell so you know the moment we upload a new episode. Because honestly, once you see cats the way we do, you can never unsee it. Thanks for being